Good evening, Harry.
Good evening, Roma. Happy to see you.
Thank you for coming and supporting us and our work. You have a huge experience of using PC remedies and resonances for last about 20 years, and one of the remedies, PC war and genocide, or war trauma and genocide, seems to be very helpful here in Israel. We had several examples of using it and very successful use. Yesterday we had a meeting where we have had this file together, and we had wonderful results as well. And I would like to ask, first of all, according to your experience using this remedy, this therapeutic tool, is it restricted by some time intervals from the trauma, or it could be used even when the first period of trauma occurred and acute is not so acute anymore? So this is the first question.
Well, basically there's no time limit to it. So like, for instance, we've treated cases in Africa of the genocide, the war and genocide in Rwanda, which took place in 1994. And so people 10, 20 years later can still have symptoms due to that. And the clear, like PTSD kind of symptoms, or like people having some kind of anxieties or palpitations or hypertension or something they relate back to that period. So if you then give them the remedy, so for a chronic situation, you could say it's almost like a miasmatic situation for them, and even for their children and their children. You can use it like on a daily basis, 1 dose per day if you take it orally, or 1 time listening per day if you use the audio file. Also in Israel, I remember we were having a seminar that you organized in 2016 or something like that. I don't know exactly when. And at some point we sat together with a couple of dozen colleagues, homeopaths, in a circle. And we played it because of the history of the Holocaust, which is still so much alive, consciously and unconsciously, in the people of Israel. And what I remember is that there was a beautiful, strong response in several people that showed that also, if something had happened, like even over half a century ago, it can still be effective. But also, like from yesterday evening, it was that one of the colleagues shared how very recently, after she had been treating lots and lots of traumatized people, and the trauma was just kind of piling up in herself, and she couldn't fall asleep, and she was hyperventilating and being in a state of anxiety, that she was given the audio by email. She listened, and from what I understood from her, in a matter of seconds, she noticed that her breathing calmed down, and not soon after she just fell asleep. And it would be lovely to hear how she's doing now, but it's very similar to using any other type of homeopathic remedy, whether you do it orally or by sound. You just give it as often as needed. And in an acute situation, you may repeat it more regularly. in a chronic situation, you may do it like on a daily basis. If there is a strong response, you wait for a while until it's over, and then you give the next dose. So in that sense, it's not different at all from what we are used to use in classical homeopathy.
And what is your experience in using these PC resonances all together with homeopathic remedies, with classical homeopathic remedies? Should we mix? Should we wait till the whole layer will go on? Or when we see the exact corroboration of very clear picture of homeopathic remedy, we can go there with our aconite belladonna and other stuff.
Yeah, I have a very practical approach to that. So we're talking about collective issues, and just like with an epidemic, this is a collective trauma, and there you can use basically the what I've called the Genus Traumaticus, Genus Epidemicus approach, where you collect several cases, and based on that, this remedy has been designed. So it's specific for that. So anyone under the influence of this trauma, and you could say in Israel right now, everyone, you can just give it. Then if you have the luxury of sitting with someone and seeing a clear picture of a specific remedy, yes, give that. But what you can do is say, like, okay, I give this to like all my patients or all the ones that I can reach or anyone coming to me. And then those that have sufficient help from this one, you're done. Those that feel that there are still things coming up, there you can focus more on their individual symptoms and see whether there's a homeopathic remedy that is clear. Also, when people come to you and to take their case, I always say just give what's staring you into the face. So if it's just like this is the trauma of this current situation, I don't know exactly whether it's this or that remedy, you can give this general one because it will cover it. If it's very clear that you see aconite or you see arsenicum or whatever it is, you give that. What also will happen is that if you give this more general one, which doesn't mean that it doesn't go as deep, because it does, but if you give the more general one, the more individual image will become more clearly, because that will kind of, the collective issue will be kind of covered, and more individual things that are more connected also to the constitution of the patient, those will come more to the fore, and it will be more easy to prescribe on that.
So actually, if we have now a lot of people altogether traumatized, and there is a genus Traumaticus, as you said, will it be a big difference to start from this PC resonance as a rule in the beginning, and then to go to differentiation of the situation? I will give you an example. In the beginning, first days, most of the cases were aconite. Of course, there were stramonium and arsenicum and others, but most of the cases was an aconite. And I wonder if we will give to all of them first this PC trauma, war, and genocide, maybe can give some even deeper answer to what's going on. Of course, we don't want to compare or make an experiences or researches to come back to such experiences. But I would like to be prepared. I would like to understand, maybe even methodologically or philosophically, if something happens like this, what do you think is deeper in its action? Genus Traumaticus or aconite will be an genus epidemicus, and in this sense, genus traumaticus as well. This is the first question. And the second question, nowadays, almost 3 weeks after the war started, we see more and more chronic cases. The acutes, they are still there, but it's not so prominent. And the same question, maybe now it's better to clear up the situation with this PC trauma war genocide resonance. As you remember, one of the approaches in homeopathy, if there is a very difficult case, some homeopaths will start it from camphor 200, for example, and then we will see what's going on. Mm-hmm. So now, after being exposed to trauma so deeply, maybe it's better to start from this PC resonance and then to go to the other layer. And it could be that it will save a lot of energy and time for our patients. So these two questions.
As a homeopath also.
Sorry?
And for you as a homeopath also.
Yes, yes, yeah. For sure. We have to think about
you know, there's one big advantage of using these PC remedies for either an epidemic condition or for like a collective form of trauma. If you look at the different forms of trauma and we look at remedies for that, usually you have like 10, 20 or even more remedies that together they cover that totality. And so it takes skills and effort and time of the homeopath and sitting with the patient to find out which one is most applicable for this individual. If you use this broader remedy, and like I said before, that doesn't mean it doesn't act as deep, because it does. If you use that, then you're kind of covered. It will anyone who's been influenced by the trauma of war and genocide can respond to this one. Also, in the initial stages, this is kind of overlaying anything else. You may have a bowel problem or something in your knees or whatever you may have. If there's the acute situation of a war breaking out and the horror that's going on, that is determining everything. So anything constitutional is at that moment just kind of washed over by a tsunami of trauma. And that you need to address first. The longer the time is since the acuteness of the trauma, and hopefully it will not last very long anymore, this situation, but it's still acute. But the more time since it has passed, the more you will see the constitutional kind of growing through the tarmac of this layer of trauma. And then you may, as a homeopath, need to look more individually for finding a remedy. But especially in the initial stages, this is a practical but also an effective way of dealing with it.
So actually, I'm coming back to my question just to conclude. I can understand in acute cases to start from, but nowadays, I think that even in less acute, more chronic cases, but with a trait of previous acute state, it's better to release the system, to clean up the system from the possible circumstances of trauma.
Yeah.
And I think that only our experience can say is it true or not. But nowadays we know that this PC resonance is doing very well, and we have to use it more and more.
Yeah. In answer to this, in Africa, what we have seen very clearly is that if you can find when something started and you prescribe for that, that's the way to deal. Unless the situation is acute. Let me give an example of an infectious disease, for instance. Suppose you have someone who regularly has malaria, and you ask them, when did it start? Well, it started in 2006. What happened in 2006? Well, I had gonorrhea, I was treated for that, and ever since the malaria started. In such a case, we treat for the gonorrhea. Is it there? No. Is it there miasmatically? Yes. You treat for the gonorrhea and you see the malaria no longer coming. If the case is acute, they come with an acute malaria, then we first treat for the malaria and we give the malaria-specific resonance. And after that, we go to the one for the gonorrhea to clear the field. So it is depending what is most prominently there at the moment. So if it's a chronic case and you can see it started with this, and you can identify what that is, a form of trauma, a form of an infectious disease, and you prescribe for that, then that's where you start. And then after that, you see, okay, what remains? What is the picture now? And you prescribe for that. And then it's the beautiful thing that you can individualize with homeopathy. We are in the luxury these days of thousands of different homeopathic remedies that are available in many different potencies also. And they've been studied more and more precisely in being able to address the deeper issues underlying the symptoms that are there. So yeah, that's beautiful.
Did you see once so-called provings from these PC resonances? We are afraid to give homeopathic remedy too frequently in order to prevent the provings, the symptoms that will stay in the system. Okay. Did you see such things with PC resonances?
We've done provings with them, but that is intentionally.
Yeah.
So intentionally, like a few provings have been done, just actually out of a curiosity of a homeopath who wanted to know whether these remedies indeed, when you take them as a test, will show the picture for which they are designed. And that was done for the cancer miasm, it was done for HIV/AIDS, and Chetna Shukla basically, and actually in India, did those provings and could come up with a clear picture that was fitting that. I can't remember any case where someone, well, if you take it, whereas it's not indicated, you may have an effect. Like with any other homeopathic remedy, you may do a proving on it. And like yesterday evening, I'm not in the trauma that all of you in Israel are in right now. And I was listening to the same. And my experience was a deep sense of unity and love with your people. And to me, that meant that war trauma, and whether it's war between nations, between tribes, between villages, families, neighbors, or even just two people, is where there's no unity. whereas love is what binds. So I could feel that this remedy basically is working towards that sense of love and unity, and basically restoring back our natural state, because our natural state is one of love and unity, and not one of division and hatred and fear and all of that.
And I think I will go for a last question.
Well, before you do, Roman, because I think there is something significant that you point to as it is possible that someone taking this remedy or listening to it, if there is a lot of old trauma inside, perhaps deeper than only the war right now, but also like Holocaust in the past or other war experiences, it is possible that things come up. But as homeopaths, we understand that that is basically a healing response. And so in that sense, it is always good to be careful with dosing. Not say like, oh, take as much as you like or whatever. No, listen once or take it once, see what happens, and then move on. And for people that feel that they are vulnerable and they are not very secure in themselves, then it would also be good to say like, okay, when you do this, do it together with someone you trust, or do it as a group, or so you can there be as a support for each other. It would also empower the effect if as a collective, as a group, you take the same because you suffer from the same, then you can have a collective healing response and be there for each other, which is easier than when you do it alone.
Yeah, this is the reason that we recommend, at least from time to time, to come as a group together and to listen for this Genus Traumaticus in order to remove it from the system, from the society, from the group. Yeah, it could be a very good idea. I will try to arrange it here. So my last question will be about PC resonances and so-called herring law. But herring law in this Genus Traumaticus, did you see some specifics after using PC war and genocide resonance? I mean, as a homeopaths, we know that if after influence of some therapeutic or even different stimulus, the system can receive it as a therapeutic simillimum, and then will react by fever, by rash, by different symptoms we know. Did you see some specific reaction in Genus Traumaticus by using this PC resonance war and genocide? Something that is common, something that is unique maybe for these processes, for processes to going out from the trauma, to going to the state of unity.
No, not different from what another well-prescribed homeopathic remedy would do. So to any well-prescribed homeopathic remedy, and so that includes a specific trauma remedy like this one for war and genocide, the organism will basically give priority to what needs to be healed first. And so that is something that the organism totally does by itself. It's not being influenced by the remedy or something. All you do is you give an impulse you give a healing impulse, and then the organism knows very well where to place its attention first, what to do first, what is needed for healing. And in that sense, the PC remedies are not different at all from the regular homeopathic remedies. They follow the same law, not because herring discovered them or named them like that, or that they are particular to homeopathy. It's how our organism takes care of itself.
Harry, thank you very much. I hope we can use this remedy for the people, and I hope we will have very good testimonials to show that we have a very good instruments to overcome even such deep traumas and very strong and tragic experiences.
Yeah, I'd love to hear testimonials. So if people are willing to share them with us, they can go to the website of ARHF, Amma Resonance Healing Foundation, arhf.nl, and there's a contact possibility there. So anyone that is willing to share some experiences, we would love to hear from you. And also, if there are questions, or we're happy to see whether we can answer them to you. And yeah, just bless you and love you all, and let's pray that this whole situation will end soon, and that we once look back at this whole situation as a healing crisis, and not just a disaster, but a healing crisis that will bring something that is better than how things were before. Let's hope that will be the case.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you.
Thank you, Roma.
Bye.